Hi there, it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today I have an easy layered ink friends card to share with you. Layering inks is so much fun, and it's a really easy way to create a quick and easy card that you can have really in just a few minutes. This is one of the fastest cards I've created, and I think it would be a fantastic card to create multiples of as well. I'm going to start with a stitched rectangle that I die cut using one of the Simon Says Stamp Stitched Rectangles dies. Then all of my images, except for the background, which I'll get to in a little bit, come from the Friends of Life stamp set. This is from the latest release. I stamped the greeting there, the word friends, using the Winter Sky ink, also from the newest release. Then the phrase underneath it I stamped with the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. And next I'm going to start layering the solid flower images. I'm not going to use the outlines this time, but instead the solids. So for my two floral images, I'm going to start with Surf Blue as my lightest blue ink. All of these are Simon Says Stamp ink colors. For the greenery, I'm using Dusty Sage, which is also a brand new ink color. Then I'm going to take the next layering image for the flower. I'm going to stamp that other group of leaves first and make sure I move that up a little bit so it's easier to see. Sorry about that. And I'm going to stamp another grouping of leaves, I think, up there in a little bit. But before I do that, well, I kind of spent some time thinking about it. I'm going to go ahead and line up the next image. This is something that would also be great to do with the Misty if you don't want to worry about maybe not getting it lined up exactly. But you can see that these actually line up pretty easily without that. And I had no trouble at all getting the different layers to line up just how they need to go. The next layer is stamped with that same Winter Sky ink that I used for the word friends. And what I love is while the ink looks a little blotchy right now while it's still wet, as the ink dries, it really smooths out and looks fantastic. My third layer is going to be the Caribbean blue ink. Again, I'm just going to kind of line that up. Go ahead and stamp that in the center. And this looks a little messy until you take the solid center and go ahead and stamp that as well. I'll go ahead and stamp both of these third layers for the flowers. If you need to, use the sheet that the stamps come on as a guide. I like to kind of use it just to make sure I got everything lined up perfectly. I'm going to take the solid images for both now and go ahead and stamp those. And that's really going to help the center of both flowers. What I love is then there are some littler pieces that you can stamp in the center with a fourth color that are even going to make the flowers more dimensional looking. I'm using the blue violet ink, sorry about that, for both of these. So there's like a little half crescent there and then a little solid dot for both sizes. And you can see that the ink is starting to dry and really smooth out. Once both of the flowers are finished with all of that ink layering, now you just want to fill in. So I'm going to fill in with the greenery a little bit more using the Dusty Sage for any of the greenery. I think this is a beautiful, very muted green. I think it's so pretty. It looks great with these colors of blue. Then there are little dots of ink, and I'm going to use the Caribbean blue. I will use some of the Winter Sky and Surf Blue as well. For this larger dotted image, I'm going to use the Caribbean blue. And this is really going to just help finish off the design. Nice little finishing touches. There's a little single dot as well, and I'm going to use it here in a minute. I felt like I really needed one more little grouping of greenery. I considered doing another one, but I felt like that was plenty. But that little single dot I will take and fill in with a couple of the lighter colors, so that Winter Sky and Surf Blue, just here and there, so there's a nice variety. And at this point, if you didn't want to do anything else, because this really is quick, you could go ahead and put this on a top fold card base or even a side fold card base, whatever you prefer, and your card would be finished. I love that you can customize the greeting. If you didn't want to use that second phrase I used there, you could use something else. I think these would make great thank you cards as well. But I decided to go ahead and dress up the background or the card base itself. So I've taken the foam out of my MISTI and I'm taking the leaves background stamp. And I'm using the MISTI for this because I know with a large stamp that has a lot of big surface area like this, I more than likely am going to need to stamp this one on top of another. So I went ahead and inked it up with the Dusty Sage ink, and I'm going to press that in place. And when I lift it, you can see most of it's going to be concentrated underneath where the panel is going to be, but I want to make sure it has really good coverage. So I did go ahead and ink it up again and stamp it again. And this is going to be the card base. That's kind of what it's going to look like. To help mute that background just a tiny bit, I did die cut another rectangle from some vellum using those stitched rectangle dies. I'm going to attach my panel directly to the vellum right there in the center. Then on the back, making sure that I keep my adhesive only underneath the solid white cardstock panel, I'm going to fill it with foam adhesive. And this is going to give it a little bit of dimension from the background of the card. But that simple stamped background adds a ton of interest and ties in the whole design so beautifully, I think. So I'll go ahead and peel off all that backing paper from the foam tape. I like to make sure I use plenty so that it doesn't press down strangely in any area. I'll attach that to the stamped card base, and that is going to finish up this really quick and easy layered ink design friends card. Thanks for joining me today for this card featuring Simon Says stamps and dies. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Simon Says stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.